True. All right. Let me make sure all these mics are working. Okay, it looks like your mic might need to be connected. Let's see here. We'll get it. We're good at this. Oh, nope. That was the same microphone. We'll get this. We're pros. There you are.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
There you go. Hey, look at us. We're making it. We're figuring it out.
Folks.
We had a little bit of a change because apparently Droid app has changed everything about itself. So we're going to have to fix some things. But welcome, everybody, as always. I know.
Boo.
Yeah. Boo to this little thing right here. Boo to marketing. Boo. All right. If everyone can hear us okay in the chat, give us a W before we get started, just to make sure that we are here. I think there's a little bit of choppiness. I apologize ahead of time. The webcam is a little. We gotta fix it. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna come back next one. But I'm sure you guys can hear us. Just let me know if you can or not. But we are gonna. I'm showing audio. Actually, let's see. We can click onto this.
Yeah. Oh, yep.
Okay, we got audio. We got audio. All right, everyone. Welcome back, adventurers and storytellers. Let me look more right on this guy right here. All right, welcome back, adventurers and storytellers, to Lore Drop. I am your dungeon master, Eguile.
And I'm DnDWife, your resident artist, dice goblin, and chronicler of chaos.
Tonight, we are diving into a topic that shapes heroes, villains, and every morally gray soul, but in the in-between, alignment.
We'll be talking about what alignment really is in Dungeons and Dragons, not just the little box on your sheet, but the moral compass that drives your character's choices.
From the mechanics on how alignment is used to limit magic weapons and holy powers, to how it's now a tool for storytelling and player growth. We'll explore the evolution of morality at the table.
We'll also unpack the biggest misconceptions, like chaotic evil Joker, the trope, or the Lawful Stupid Paladin. Spoiler, your alignment shouldn't be an excuse for bad roleplay.
Exactly. And we'll finish up by sharing some of our real experiences from our own table in the world of our homebrew world of Extraeus. The good, the bad, and the morally messy.
So grab your dice, settle in, and let's talk about how alignment gives your character a heart, a conscience, and maybe a few regrets along the way.
All right. Obviously, if you have not joined us, it's been a while since we've done Lore Drop, and so obviously we have to welcome new and old. This is our little series where we talk almost exclusively about Dungeons and Dragons and all things TTRPGs.
Yeah, world building, things like that.
Which from our personal experience of creating our own homebrew world, as well as almost 9 years worth of dungeon mastering now. So what we've been on at this moment, if you go back to our previous VODs for Lore Drop, we have been talking character creation.
Oh yeah, it's so much fun to build a character, but it can be kind of daunting sometimes, right? When you're looking at exactly how to build like the really rich character that you want, especially if you're looking at main characters or like close supporting characters. You want them to have meat on their bones.
Yeah, so tonight we're talking about the morals, the mayhem, and the motivations, which are just the true heart of what it actually comes to when it comes to alignment, right? Because it really is one of those things where I think either people look too much into it or not enough. It's always kind of not in the gray,
Right.
to
It
be
can
funny
be a little
about
intimidating, right? So some people skip over it and others really try to dive in and sometimes overdo it.
Yeah, right? Like, I feel like that's kind of, or it becomes the end-all, be-all excuse for things, right? Like, oh, I did it because my alignment, or this is how my character thinks, and this is how my character interacts with the world. It's like, oh, okay, well.
There's some limits, or there should be.
But if you're not familiar to TTRPGs, and you might be asking what the hell you guys are talking about. So alignment is kind of the character creator system in Dungeons and Dragons and many RPGs of how to define kind of the ethical and moral framework of your character.
Why does your character act the way they do? What drives them to act the way they do? Well, alignment explains that. What inside, what do they really like? align with in terms of morals.
Now, most people have seen these. Now, the biggest thing I can point to are the like 3x3 squares, right? And it was like a meme for a long time where you see the whole like, and it comes down into a couple categories. So you have lawful and chaotic, and then you have good and evil, right? And so you'd always see the little thing like chaotic evil. This is like your boss at chaotic evil. Your friend is neutral. You know, and it was always kind of a joke, right? And so a lot of people actually have seen what essentially is the alignment table for Dungeons and Dragons without ever really knowing it
Just
either.
in meme form.
You know, and so, you know, really in the original Dungeons and Dragons, like back in the 70s, it was really more of just kind of like how you picked sides. It wasn't the core of your character, right? Because, you know, it was all big early days, so it's gods and huge levels of destruction. So really it was more of like,
who do you side with
and where are you gonna go when you die, right? So like, oh, you're lawful good, well, you're gonna go to the good guy place, you're gonna go to Elysium, you're gonna have this great place, you know, or Mount Celestia, you know, and it's all this kind of tied into that. But your character itself could pretty much do whatever it wanted, right? Like you could be like, yeah, I'm this holy man, ignore the hundreds of bodies I have behind me because I picked it at the beginning and it's my character class. So it was both to be like this, like, oh, who is your cosmic allegiance? Like, okay, your character's good. And it was just kind of good, right? It was you're good, you're bad, you're neutral. Do you follow the good gods, or do you not care and you're team humanity, so you're neutral, or do you want to just watch everything burn? Right? But it was also a mechanical limiter, right? Like they really wanted to also like limit certain story beats to those kind of things. And it's evolved as we've seen, right? Like, so like, you know, paladins, it's kind of the quintessential way to look at alignment.
Immediate good guy, right?
Alignment tied to a character class, right? And you can say the same thing with clerics, right? Same thing. Where it's like,
good person.
You are a good person, thus it's explained that some of your abilities or your powers are based on you having to be a good guy, right? So like one of the biggest weapons that I can think of is the Holy Avenger, right? Like, so that is a paladin exclusive, crazy powerful weapon that a lot of paladins is like, dude, that's like the highest order of weapon, right? But it requires you to be lawful good. Like there's no other way to use the item. And like, so it plays this kind of funny thing where it's like, unless you selected lawful good at the very beginning of your character creation, that weapon could be exclusively never be able to be wielded by your character.
Locked out.
Right, and then there's also still like unholy items too that are usually based off of like you need to have an evil demeanor, your character must be evil, and not just like, oh, I'm having a bad day evil, but like to your very core.
Like, let's destroy everything.
Right, you know, so it's like end the world and then have, you know, cake and punch,
just
right?
to see the insides, you know, things
and
like
so
that.
It's one of those things where it's like, I get it as a way of doing that, but it really, when 5e and 4 and all the changes started, alignment became something greater, right? It became more of like, what exactly is your character's motivation for everything? It wasn't just like, okay, which team do you pick, right? You team good guy, you team bad guy. Are you alliance or are you horde?
Be left alone.
I mean, really what it was, right? Like, are you alliance or are you a horde, right? Like, it's just pick one or the other. You can't really cross over. But when we saw in 5e, it became much more malleable, right? It was like, oh, well, you pick this, it's kind of saying like, okay, here's your character's motivation, but in reality, it's not important. In essence, in D&D proper, not a lot is affected by alignment that the dungeon master doesn't impose themselves.
It has to be it has to be a rule of the dungeon master, right? They have to say, oh, if you're lawful good, you do good things or else. But there really is no rule in the in the DM handbook for that.
And so it becomes this thing where it became more narrative. So it was like, oh, okay, so I mean, you played around with it too, where it's like, okay, well, your character could be lawful neutral. And so I always play where it's like initial Aragon, right? Like it's I want to be this roguish person, and now I can justify my entire role play now because it's like, well, no, I'm lawful neutral. So I don't necessarily have to go and say, hey, every situation, how will my character react? Oh, someone gets killed. Okay, how do I think? No, you get to take this kind of generalized philosophy and then apply it to your character for their, like, you know, their morality or their ethics.
Neutral good might be like, oh no, that's bad, and then, you know, go on their merry way.
Right. It gives that justification to not go into detail, which I'll get into more, to me is very anti D&D if you look at it.
I mean, everything else requires an immense amount of detail.
Anything that removes detail to me is just like, well, now you're not playing Dungeons and Dragons, right? If you're not being finite and specific, it's it's not really good. And there's a lot of really good explanations out there that kind of explain it more thematically. Like D&D Beyond has a pretty good alignment guide. We haven't used D&D Beyond forever.
A while.
Ever sponsored. I talk about it all the time. But it is one of those things where they have a pretty good explanation as to, okay, you're lawful neutral, or I guess the best way I look at it is like lawful evil.
Oh, yeah.
Where it kind of explains, okay, hey, it doesn't necessarily mean you're out there ripping people's faces off all day. No. It means more of like, you don't mind doing things that are considered bad, right? Murder, stealing things. Yeah. But because you're lawful about it, it also means that you kind of have this idea that you have a code or you have a rules, and it explains it. Like, so you have more of this fluidity as well as kind of a general idea of like, oh, I picked this, thus this is how I'm supposed to react to certain things.
Like you only take hits out for bad guys,
Yeah.
Things like that.
And I think...
Or no kids.
And it sucks too, because I think a really easy way to kind of see that change too is looking at like even newer systems. So it's D&D apostrophe Baldur's Gate, where they've removed it entirely. So there is no alignments in Baldur's Gate at all.
Yeah.
Now, some people say this is a good thing, some people are bad, but I think what it makes it more is it takes out the generalization, right? So now you can't just be like, well, your character, it reminds me of like earlier games where if you, like Fable, I think was like this. So if you picked good and you were already a good character, you really couldn't pick evil options anymore. It was, your character's so good, he's never going to do evil unless you do continuously little bad things to then get you into the evil side. And to me, especially in role play, that to me is a scary way to do it, because it's very limiting. I mean, who's to say the most evil person wouldn't like save the puppy out of the road because it just felt like it, right?
Or it looked cute,
or it just didn't feel like having something die in front of them at this moment.
Yeah.
So for me, it really starts to kind of put a shackle onto players to just put them in those particular guidelines.
Yeah, and it makes for static characters that don't really work very well, right? You want somebody that can grow, that can move, that breathes, that can do unexpected things, just like humans do in the normal world every day.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing too, is like, I think that's why people love the Baldur's Gate kind of system without having the alignment, especially if you were a fan of Dungeons and Dragons, because you didn't have to worry about it.
It's more like reputation, right? Like you get along better with some people. You have, like, if you go into charisma, like you do better with certain people. So I think it's better that way too.
Right, and so, I mean, just having like at least a little bit of an understanding of alignment, like when making a character, it also can be kind of tough, right? Yeah. Because you have to base within this certain realm of, is it a tool or is it a handicap, right? So do you create or do you choose an alignment for your character as a method of being more in line with kind of the aspect of the character you built, or do you do it as a way of just kind of holding back or allowing you to do certain things, right? So I build this very, regal, royal, person, but they're also chaotic neutral. So now I'm able to do whatever I want.
Crazy stuff.
Even though I've set up a story based around someone who's very pomp and da-da-da. Yeah. Because I picked this alignment, I now can go and do crazy things and explain it away by saying it's my alignment, right? So for me, like, it's you have to look at it, and it's more for newer players, especially newer RP players, that using that as the crutch is good to start, especially if you don't really know how to build a character, or you haven't watched other episodes of Lore Drops, so you haven't seen the other things we've shown you.
Go back and watch.
Shameless plug. But it is one of those things where you want to let new players kind of have a little bit of a safety net. But when you get more experienced, it is kind of like training wheels, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So if you keep them on for too long, it's going to be very restrictive. You're going to be held back. And it's going to start feeling like you were punished by making these decisions.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so it's like, oh, well, crap, I picked chaotic neutral. Now, every time something goes on, they think I'm a part of it. They think I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this. But that, crap, that really wasn't what I was trying to do.
No.
Right? And so, like, as a dungeon man, oh, hello, Bubba.
Hi, buddy.
He wants to join the conversation. And so it's, it's that thing where, a good way for dungeon masters and players alike to really help out in these situations is do a session 0 and talk specifically about alignments.
It's important.
And one can be just a group alignment. And and it sounds kind of weird, but just be like, okay, what exactly are you guys as a group trying to be, right? Are you the unlikely heroes? Are you the reluctant heroes? Are you just the people for a coin? And if you have at least the group mechanic, we all know, like, obviously there's people in the group that maybe not be the exact same, but at least it gives you a general idea of what the overall essence, morality-wise, of your group is, right? So then it's like, okay, if we want to be a bunch of lawful good guys, we'll scrap your evil, edgelord who plays by himself, right?
Can't.
It's just not going to work
You're going to
in
be this
scenario.
adventuring party. You can't really be evil while going about saving people.
Right, but if it's not the crux of your character, which is why I say for veteran players, don't make it the basis of everything of your character, and just more of kind of what I look at as kind of like that test, right? It's just where you can go for your character is like, so when your character's pushed to its stressful point, that's when alignment comes in, right? When it's that moment of, you see the choice of save yourself, save someone else, that's when your morality really comes in. When it comes to everyday interactions with NPCs or your fellow players, it doesn't mean you need to be an evil chaos gremlin.
Think like John Wick, right? Completely normal until he got pushed.
Yeah.
And then he pushed back. But he didn't just go around capping people all day.
Yeah, and I mean, so like, there's a lot of resources out there too online that you can use to go and find things. So there's like the Kassoon alignment test, which if you haven't seen, it's Kassoon.com. You can kind of pick kind of some scenarios, and it kind of tells you like, okay, you would be X, you would be neutral, or this character sounds like they're going to be lawful, evil, or lawful neutral. So if you don't quite know how that fits in the morality or the alignment, table, there are ways that you can just kind of put in the general thought processes for the character and then have it selected for you.
Yeah, or if you're a writer, you're not necessarily looking at Dungeons and Dragons, you're looking at story. This is a good way to do it without having to get into like all that nitty-gritty lingo.
Right. I mean, you're a writer. You've been writing a lot on your blog, DnDWifestories.com.
Go read.
Go read. It's a lot of new stuff coming out. I mean, you've done a lot of writing where you're adding a little bit more of the emotion and the stuff, but like, how exactly is the narrative emotion shaping like for morality past just being like, well, this is the bad guy?
Yeah, right. It's tough to write that in. But for example, writing Matthias, who is quite an evil character. I don't write him with necessarily like straight up evil. He's more like a cocky asshole. He's just sitting there testing you. So he's more like a Muhammad Ali type of dude. He's just like poking at you like a little bee sting every time, trying to get you to a rise out of you, right? To show your hand. So he's, and the way that I viewed him as, he's this evil guy, but he doesn't always do evil things. He doesn't just go around constantly being evil. In fact, we've seen where he gets along with some people very well, and in fact, he's saved people in the past. So doing those little things not only gives richness to the character, but I think it also kind of lulls people and the people around them in the story into believing that they might be a good guy, or at least maybe not as bad as you think, right? Give them like that chance to be redeemed, and then he pulls back at the last second.
Yeah, and I think this kind of this brings us really good into the next section where we're talking about like misconceptions and tropes, which is kind of where we started with the whole conversation. It was how much we've learned over the years and years of playing Dungeons and Dragons with actually like how actually important alignment is, right? And I think the biggest misconception first that I always want to start with when it comes to alignment is this idea that it is never locked in. Right. I just hate this idea that it's something fluid. You pick and it's like, hey, you're evil. Oh, you're evil for the rest of your life. The rest of the game, your game could span generations. It doesn't matter. Your character will never learn a new lesson or never break and become evil. Yeah. It makes no sense to me.
Not at all.
So never feel like whatever you started with is what you're relegated to. And if anything, new Dungeons and Dragons, as we've gotten more editions, have built around that. The Oathbreaker Paladin is entirely designed around, oh, you fucked up as a paladin, you're no longer a good guy, you're switched.
Yeah.
And you could tie that into an alignment alignment shift and not just be an accident, but a breaking of faith. And then there's so much more to the evolution of these things, other than just your atypical stereotypes. I mean, you as a more chaotic player who tends to always be chaotic in one way or another, you dealing with that kind of stereotype that comes with just being chaotic evil.
But I have played good neutral good characters. So my paladin Brenna was a neutral good character, but she was a little chaotic because the way that her oath was, it really wasn't about saving people; it was about saving the planet. So so she could go around fucking with people if they stepped a toe out of line in the wrong way, like she bashed in the mayor's head who was hurting people really badly. He was killing people too.
We'll get to examples later down in you don't have to go too deep.
True.
This is just about the stereotypes.
But yeah, there are certain things that you kind of get roped into, but little things that you can change really help out to distinguish yourself out of those alignments.
Yeah, right. And like I was saying, I was trying to feed you into the chaotic evil Joker stereotype, but like
gotcha.
that's what I was trying to feed. I was trying to set you up for that. So
Sorry.
what I was talking about is the different stereotypes that come with alignments, right? So like the idea of like chaotic evil equals the Joker, right? So it's like this idea of like it's a person who is just crazy for the sake of chaos, but it does mess up a lot, right? Because the idea is that's one particular character who has like obviously tons of layers, but they can still have motives, order, and empathy. It's just the way that they view the world and how they can do things, right? Yeah. So it's always been like, well, I'm chaotic evil, I'm the Joker. It's like, well, you don't have to necessarily. There are more depths to being chaotic evil than just being, say, the Joker, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, like you were just saying too, which kind of leads you to the other one, is kind of you played a paladin, which also has its own stereotype, right? Like there's a kind of a trope when playing
if you're
paladins.
Good, you have to be completely good, and if you're like evil and crazy, that's all you can be. But that wasn't the case, right? The Joker was able to have tender moments and little bits where it was a little redeemable.
Wrong button.
and so yeah, that's how I think you get over those misunderstood kind of characters and alignments, or get out of those tropes too, because it's really easy to just kind of flow into that, and it's not always the best to have that in a story, right? You don't always just want some chaos gremlin to just be going around destroying everything.
Yeah, right. And like I said, like a lot of like the trope too with paladins is lawful good equals lawful stupid, right?
Oh yeah,
right. That's what I'm trying.
That's the next one.
Yeah,
where
that's what
you're
I'm trying
just
to say.
here.
And right. It's like the idea of like, any law that's broken in front of me, they like act, right? Like, so it's like, oh, this person stole a loaf of bread. Well, that's the same thing as murder. Yeah. So I'm going to execute this and it's like, well, why are you, well, I'm lawful good, which means if they break the law comes down. It's like, that's not really, you can uphold order and show compassion and doubt, right? Like you're not really limited. A good example is like, you can look at Captain America, right?
Oh yeah.
Because Captain America essentially is the epitome of lawful good, like,
True.
Especially in the beginning. But when we get to Civil War and we start to see him start to question the law, we start to question order, that just shows that it's not always going to be necessarily blind faith every single time.
Yeah, right. There's a few gray areas, especially when you're confronted with people on the other side that are your friends, that are your family.
Yeah.
That's how you bring out the kind of humanity or like the differences in the tropes, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, like you like you were saying, you play a lot of neutral characters, right?
I do.
And that's
chaotic,
also
good,
right.
evil, neutral. Just neutral.
And I feel like you play into that too, where it's this idea of like, oh, well, you're neutral. You're just going to be very blasé.
Yeah. For neutral, it's right. I'm chill until it affects me. And then it depends on what you did.
Right. It becomes, I feel like the neutrals are just more of, it becomes that balance, right? It's balance, pragmatism, moral detachment. It's kind of this whole connection to what exactly the story or the essence is, right? So it's like, to me, it's more of they get to pick and choose more. Yeah,
we have a little freedom as the neutral party to say, oh, well, this time I want this dude to die, but this time I want them to be saved.
What's up, Skyzy? Thank you for joining us today, and
hello,
thanks for the chat. But yeah, speaking of chat, if any of you guys, dungeon masters, dungeon players, what is the worst alignment excuse you've ever heard at your table? You know, we've heard a lot of the "it's what my character would do," and we also are fun followers of Crit Crab on YouTube. If you want to read and listen to horrible D&D stories, definitely check them out on YouTube.
Really good.
But you know, it is that kind of thing where I think people roll into kind of the idea of my alignment makes me do it. Like, the devil in my brain is making me do it. But all that really does at the end of your game, guys, is just remove your actual character's agency. Yeah. Let's see. This guy said, just playing Ready or Not. Last time I played Dungeons & Dragons, I was a dragonborn that was chaotic neutral. I went around throwing up acid on toilets. See, okay, it's like, look, exactly, right? Like, there are ways, instead of it just being a sense of that, oh, well, I'm chaotic, let me hurt and destroy things.
Everybody.
It's definitely a unique take on character building.
You had an MO. You did a thing. It wasn't just spraying acid everywhere.
Which means you were probably, a black dragon?
Yeah.
Since you had ascetic breath.
Oh, that's cool.
It shows our Dungeons & Dragons knowledge. Yeah. But, no, exactly, right? I just think that, like, when you're relying on the archetype of alignment, you're actually doing a disservice to your character in the long run.
Yeah, I think so, right? Try to get out of those boxes. It's not all that great, right, to just be a one-tone character. And you'll see this if you're writing, if you're creating characters, or if you're making D&D characters too. Eventually, if you just make a one-note character, you get bored. Yeah. 'Cause there's no growth. There's no room for anything.
I mean, I think there's like some good story arcs that you can see that because of that growth and what a character started at in the beginning becomes something different. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it's also cool when characters keep their conviction the whole storyline, right? Yeah. Like a faithful cleric who's never once slipped, you know, who wants to, that's to me a true lawful good, but that's going to take some time and effort to really focus on.
Definitely.
You know, but for us, like we were saying, you know, we've been doing this for quite a while, and D&D is already sharing massive amounts of experiences because we just have so many where we've dealt with issues with alignment or how it can be played and add extra elements, right? So, like, as a dungeon master, I do a lot of this, and I give opportunities for what I call, like, tests, you know, give opportunities to see kind of where your players' convictions at the end of the day, right? Especially for my evil players or my more neutral, I always kind of be like, well, are you really neutral? Yeah. So you put scenarios in front of your teams, you know, it might not even be like a big significant scenario, right? It can be just something that's more in the background, but it gives your players a test of like, okay, where do you guys actually align? And I believe very much as a dungeon master, it is your agency to change a player's alignment. That a player who is saying, oh, I'm a good guy, but they're constantly doing evil or neutral acts or not getting involved. Yeah. They're too defensive, right? They don't want to get hurt. They're good, but they don't want to get hurt. Well, that kind of puts you more in a neutral territory, right?
Not really good.
Or you get put into a scenario where it's like, okay, you have a choice, save a child or a group of strangers, right? It's the train dilemma. Was it 10 versus
save?
1?
Yeah.
You know, but you put those because we face those in the real world. There are always tests of faith, morality, ethics, alignment. So why not have a few of those, right? But there's also a lot of it, I always laugh, you know, where I think there's points where you can have the story check back your players, where it's, I think it's that pivotal moment where your players kind of look around and they look at each other and it's the whole like, guys, are we the bad guys? And you realize just how things change. And we and honestly, for me, we recently had in the most recently in our side story, there were alignment shifts all over the place as faiths were broken. We even had at the very end, you know, with Louis, I never thought he would be willing to sacrifice things. And the character really kind of played onto it, and the player really thought, okay, what would I do? And there was a huge tonal shift for a character who was outlandish and loud, who willing allowed themselves to kind of fade into memory for the good of everything else.
To save the whole country.
So for someone who technically was neutral when they started, I very much was like, no, you end as a good guy.
You're a good guy.
Like, there's no way to not
and even though you're not revered in the halls of men, you're still a hero,
right?
you know?
Because like for me, I think for you, one of your best alignment play characters was obviously Alira.
Oh, I loved Alira. She was fantastic.
There were
Chaotic,
so many
neutral
tests.
to the core.
There were so many tests. I think the avarice pools that were for Tiamat that showed all the loot was a real moment of, okay, because it was an alignment based trap, which was what was so funny.
Yeah.
So it really made it where, okay, and I think you did a great job, and I'll let you explain the scene a little more. But it was a trap where it was pulled based on the alignment. So essentially, the players could just go, "Not me. I'm not going to deal with that," because it wasn't really mechanically held to them.
Yeah.
But I think you played it really well.
No, I had chosen one of my flaws was that I loved money, and if I could take the opportunity to make money, I would take it regardless of any threat to my life, anything like that. And so we were in a place, I think it was hell, actually. And
I think it was.
Yeah. And there was this pool, a magical pool with obviously the ability to make me see whatever I wanted and lead me to my death. And I saw riches, I saw gold, and I went for it. I started going, and like halfway through, I think my character realized that she was going to die if she kept going. And did I flip for that? Did I roll for that?
I think you just, honestly, I thought you went for it. I think you just were like, I know this is dangerous, but
I'm going to go for it.
You know what? It fits to what my character is doing.
I think the party had to save me.
Well, I know that the party outside of the table was like, what the hell? Why are you doing this? You don't have to. Like, you're going to die. But I think that really showed where it was like an opportunity to show your players, right? Yeah. Because if they avoid it, if you're like, oh, if you're neutral, you're going to be falling for this. And they're like, no. It just shows either it's not significant to them, or maybe they don't understand how significant it could be, right?
That's true.
So, I mean, like, for you, I think with Luna, I think this is a good question. It's like, when did Luna first question who they were, right? Like, this is a character has no memory, so their alignment theoretically can shift with every new memory and a new perspective. Because I think some of your memories didn't put Luna in the best light either.
I was pretty selfish. So one of them, I was being accused of betraying people, and so I really could be anything, right? And I still don't know. There have been times where my memories have shown me to be very cruel and mean, and other times where I've been really nice and helpful. So, I think that's the fun part of a character like Luna is I can just sit there and play her and just wait to see where she ends up based on of her memories.
Right. And I think that's cool because that really shows like what really happens. I mean, how many stories where it's like somebody who lost their memory and then when they learn about themselves, they were like an entirely different person.
Oh yeah.
But then it's like, well, when you regain, what do you return to? What is your true self? And I really want to hear more of her Luna's story as we go, because she is really that moldable, like, will she be a villain at the end of the story? Will she be a savior, or will she just kind of fade into existence? Like,
yeah, right. My favorite little cheat for this, and it's not really a cheat, it's just like a fun way to play with alignment, is the possession game.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I was Brenna, I was a lawful good paladin, right? And so there are certain oaths you have to follow and stuff like that. And one of them is I had to be good. So when I got possessed by a very evil spirit, I had to embody that as a character in little subtle ways too, so that I wouldn't tip my party off. So it was really fun to do as like an exercise.
It started to become super obvious though.
Yeah, I started to have to like make it more obvious as we went along, because at first they were just like, maybe she's just scared or something.
That was funny.
But it was really fun to play with that, right? Because I could test the waters with alignment and go really evil with it, and not worry that my actual character Brenna was going to break her oath or anything like that, because that's not Brenna, that's somebody in her body possessing her.
And I mean, it's so realistic too to have like evolution. I mean, we've seen moral changes. Good guys become bad guys become good guys. I mean, some classic ones for me growing up was always like Anakin, right? Like Anakin Skywalker. He was lawful good, supposed to, save the world.
Chosen child.
And then became chaotic evil. Not lawful evil, but just straight up a chaos beast.
Yeah.
So it just shows that we've seen these. It's not unheard of. And I mean, I know one of your favorites is from Avatar.
Oh yeah. I love Zuko. I think he's the best sort of character because he really grows in the series, right? He just doesn't just become a good guy off the bat because his dad was mean to him. He had to go through this whole redemption arc where he was at first trying to grab his father's like approval, gain his way back in, and then slowly starting to realize that like what they're standing for and what they're doing to people was really bad, and then coming around to the other side. All of that took a long time too. So you don't have to do it from one moment to the next. You can take your time with alignment shifts. And I think that's the real mark of like a character growth is taking your time with it. Don't just change it right off the bat, but actually take your time, run them through like an actual progress of getting up there, or provide like a scenario that is so life altering that it really causes that shift immediately.
Now, if you guys have any stories of the same kind of alignment shifts or new morality or whatever, share them now live so we can all see it, or join us on our Discord, link somewhere down below here. Join us. Make sure you hit the rolls because that unlocks certain things. So if you hit the roll that you play D&D or tabletop, you'll get access to the Bard's Haven, which is our kind of chat room for all things Dungeons and Dragons. We share stories, all those kind of fun things. So join us there. Share some of your stories of alignment shifts or any kind of crazy, my alignment made me do it stories,
Oh, yeah.
But really what we could do to share just some of the like just easy tips that we have found that fit more into the online world as well as, the modern game, right? So for me, I know there's some tips that I gave for you as a player. So if you want to share a little bit, as what can help as a player to help people when it comes to alignment.
Yeah, treat it like a guideline, not like something that you already are and will always be, right? Not the be all end all. It's just kind of like, okay, this is what I am. But if it changes, if it adapts, let that happen naturally. Take every scenario as it comes and evaluate how that affects your character, just like we do in our lives. Whenever we come across like a problem or something in our lives, we have to evaluate how that changes us as people and how we come out at the other end, right?
Right. I mean, there's so much you can do too. And I think a lot of it is talking, like you were saying, talk to the DM, share kind of an idea of like, I want my character to have like a breakdown. I think one of the good examples of that was Sam Riegel doing Scanlan in season 1, right?
Yeah.
So he kind of went to I'm bored. I want to play something else. I want to have like my character do a breakdown and change and stuff. And it just shows, work with your DMs, people. Yeah. We're here to help. We want people to do good and have fun. And that's the whole point, right?
Communication is key.
But for me as a dungeon master, I think that there are some easier ways for dungeon masters because it's hard for a player to come up with, and it's sometimes our responsibility as dungeon masters to kind of help you guys understand certain things. So I like to use moral pressure points, right? So it's like choices that have clear value. And it's kind of the same example with video gaming, right? So like a lot of times now, especially in these new games, I got to put those up front. That's funny that our chat is in behind.
Oh, yeah.
We had to put a new droid cam up, so it changed some of the things.
It did.
So,
we'll get that fixed.
That was Spider-Man disappearing. All right, it was Mary Jane disappearing, if you know much about the Fox Spider-Man series. But yeah, right. And just like in video games where they kind of give you like this is the aggro, this is the hard, this is the happy one.
Yeah.
You kind of do the same thing.
They will remember
you kind of do the same narratively, right? Like you give what is like clearly an evil choice. So like the one I always did in my stories was I had a player who had some underworld connections. So they were constantly being offered contracts of like, oh, hey, wipe this town out. I don't care. It was like, we don't care how you do it. Yeah. Just get everyone out of the town by X time. And, the player kind of has that choice. So it's like, well, here, you got carte blanche to be evil or maybe find an alternative, right? And so it gave them a choice. It's like, okay, well, I can solve this in various different ways. And as a dungeon master, when you see that, you can kind of see how your players are really playing because everyone's going to tell you they're one way. But when they get onto the table and they start playing, they're going to play differently.
you never know how a player is going to react to the table when they come in, when the story actually starts going. But if you're all open about it, if you're talking about it, then that should flow naturally.
Yeah, and I mean, two is also, I think a lot of examples also have to be put up in the world, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you want to have kind of the same thing of like good people doing wrong, bad people doing good. So then when the characters go and address something, they're hearing the, tales of an evil person, but then when they learn more, it's like, well, wait a minute, maybe it's the kingdom that's evil, or, the kind of blind faith to certain clerics and priests, but in reality, I mean, we kind of all know this anyway, they're up to something in the background, up to something evil, right? So it really kind of has that idea of like mix good and evil in your NPCs, because if you're keeping your players guessing about all the world people, they're going to keep guessing about themselves too. Because they might meet some people and they go, oh, we really link up with these people, we must be really good. And then they go to other good people, it's like, ooh, I don't like this kind of good. This is not the good.
Not the right
this is
good.
not the good that I'm looking for. It just doesn't quite work. So it's definitely something you want to look into later on in making more of your NPCs kind of be ambiguous. Every now and then, obviously, put the evil guy where it's just some prick who's just evil.
Just to be.
And every now and then, the Mother Teresa figure who's just good. But if you mix a lot more, your characters are going to also, or your players are also going to see that it's okay to be kind of flexible and not just be, we're the good guys, we can only do good, and there's no way to do anything else.
Yeah, just like we can't always be perfect angels, or not all of us are, immediately horrible people.
Right. And if you're looking to get more into it, now, mind you, there are like exposés on alignment. What's going on, Entlink? Thank you for joining us. There are like exposés. You can go on to the Reddit, like D&D behind the scenes subreddit, and there's literally alignment discussions of people just giving scenarios of saying like, what should I be? Who's this? What does it truly mean to be true neutral?
Yeah.
And it's really kind of cool that there's so much out there that you can get if you do want to dig deeper into the alignment.
It's almost academic the way these discussions have gone.
Right? And I think it's the big thing. Is making it part of your story, right? It's because of your ethics, your morals, that you can put more challenges onto players. Make them have those tough choices. I don't like when I hear about campaigns where people are just kind of handheld. Oh, you're holding the kitty. Here you go. We don't want to have any challenges. No roughness. No, you gotta push people to the limits. See how they're going to react to certain crazy moments and actually get the truth, right? I always believe some of the best D&D is when we're being pressured. It's on the fly. It's in the hurry. You don't have time to second guess and double check. You
Right then
just
and there.
do what is important right off the bat. And I know what's also big for you on the story is also with our players is writing journal entries.
Oh, I think that's a perfect way to keep track of like how your character's doing, how they're feeling about things, because how your character is feeling that informs how you align, right? How you react to the world around you. And these journals are fantastic for that. You get to really see what that character is looking at the session through their lens, right? Through their own eyes.
And I mean, I think it's perfect with, Entlink being here in the chat with like her character Bogbean. I always said like looking at when the first entry and when we finally get to the last entry, it's going to be this dynamic shift where you're going to read and it's probably going to be a different character by the time you get to the middle to the end. And it's funny because it's so layered because it's like writing, languages, all kinds of stuff that changes as that player has grown and as that character's grown.
Oh yeah, I mean she's come such a long way, learned so much, and so that's how characters grow, right? They don't always stay the same. So she's not always going to be some person who's never been to school from a swamp. She can learn, she can become educated. That's a thing that happens, and I think it's fantastic. She's learning so much.
So as we get down here towards the end, we've been enjoying so much time with you guys, and holy crap, it's almost been an hour, which is crazy for us, but we have so much fun on the lore drops. They tend to go a little longer. We warn you guys ahead of time.
It's so long.
But we wanted to have a community prompt this week, and we'll be back in 2 weeks for another episode, and we want to see what kind of answers we get onto our Discord. So please, if you haven't already, we've been saying it all the time, join the Discord, come into the lore drop area where we talk about it on the show. It's part of the Couple Nerds production section. Everyone's a part of that one, so you don't have to click anything. Haha. But our prompt for this week is, has your alignment ever changed mid-campaign, and what caused it?
Yeah, I like
so
that
do
one.
you have an example of where your character just suddenly was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to be different. Or, you know what? I'm done being evil. It's time to help. You know, I saw my fellow teammate hanging on the cliff. We've been fighting the whole session, but you know what? I rolled the dice. I said if I got higher than a 15, I'd be a good guy. And God damn it, I rolled a natural 20, right? There's so many cool stories, I think, out there. We want to hear your guys' stories out there, right? We want to hear about the examples, because that's half of the story. Most of our topics and what we come from are just her and I discussing things, joking about stories.
Putting up scenarios.
Right, and so we're going to eventually run out of topics ourselves. So if you guys have any stories, any topics, any examples, we would love to hear from them, especially on our Discord. We would love it. We've been doing a lot of new stuff there. Come check it out.
Yeah, let us know. Let's see what you think.
But I think for me, the biggest closing summary is that it's just that alignment isn't a cage. It's the compass that evolves as your story does, right? My biggest thing is that it's not a video game where you can't respec, right? You can, at any moment, your character can just happen to wake up on the right side of the bed or the wrong side of the bed one day and just happen to change. Now, the difference is that doesn't, unless your character has got schizophrenia or something, it tends to not be something spastic, right?
Yeah.
You long-term. Now, this is mostly speaking on long-term stories and campaigns, because obviously they're different.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, allow your character some freedom. If you are evil, you know what? You might save a bunny or a puppy every now and then, and no one's going to think wrong. You know, you might store it for some parts and components later, but hey, they're going to think you saved it for a good reason.
Right. I think my closing little tip is, alignment doesn't have to be boring and static, and you don't have to just like fall in to the stereotypes, right? You can add a little flair to it. Don't be afraid to add flavor. Like Eguile always says, flavor is always free. So you don't always have to just put yourself in those boxes. You can stretch your legs a little bit, see what's out there, dip your toes in something else, you know?
Yeah, I think the best kind of quote, I think when we were talking, was evil can do good and good can do evil. And that's in the world and everywhere we see around us, right? It doesn't really matter. Everyone is we're all little weird flowers, or we're all onions, and we have multiple layers. Right, we all have layers. So it's definitely something to look into.
Some layers are darker than others.
Speaking of layers, we're continuing on our character creation mini series that we've been running for these last few weeks. Our next, in 2 weeks, because we always go every other week, we'll be talking about motivations and bonds, building the heart of your character. So it kind of ties into alignment,
A little bit.
but what is the motivation and what are the bonds that bind your character? Now, D&D has some that are auto-generated, but I feel like it needs to be deeper.
Right. Do they have a loved one at home, a kid?
Just like an actor would say, what's my motivation?
Yep.
I think it works
What
out
am
well.
I doing this for?
But if you haven't gotten tired of hearing it already, please follow us on Twitch, sub to our YouTube, join our Discord. All things are there. Come check us out. Hell, if you have a podcast, we put these up on Acast if you want to just hear our beautiful voices instead of seeing us. But we are everywhere, and we appreciate all of you guys joining us and hanging out with us, because we know you probably had something better to do on Thursday, because also Critical Role's going on right now, so we're always fighting with that one. You know, maybe one day we'll beat Critical Role.
We'll get there.
But thank you guys all for joining. Link, SkyZ, thank you guys for joining and chatting up with us a little bit. Thank you for the examples, because that's the whole point of this. We're starting a conversation.
And that was fantastic.
Right.
You guys brought forth such amazing examples. So thank you so much.
Because it's not just us. It's everybody.
It's all of you guys. We love this community. But that's going to be a wrap for our deep dive into alignment. Proof that morality in D&D is never just black and white. It's beautifully complicated.
So whether you're a DM looking to challenge challenge your players or a player discovering your character's true nature, remember, alignment isn't a cage, it's the compass.
If tonight's discussion gave you something to think about for your next campaign, let us know in the comments or go over to our Discord, the Couple of Nerds Productions Discord. We'd love to hear your alignment stories.
And sound like a broken record, if you haven't already, make sure to follow us here on Twitch, subscribe to our Couple of Nerds Productions YouTube for more episodes, shorts, and all the other stuff for us. Come check it out.
In case you missed the beginning. Next time on Lore Drop, we'll be exploring motivations and bonds, how to give your character purpose beyond just gold and glory.
But until then, keep your dice honest, your stories heartfelt, and may your moral compass always point true. Thanks for joining us on Lore Drop.
Bye, guys.
I know, we'll get it better.
We'll get it.
We're getting there. All right, so as we always forget to do this, let us find somebody to raid. Hopefully someone who we know. Oh, that's not the right button. Maybe if I find the right
parachute.
It's a parachute. I never think that's the right one to do.
I know. Because we're
All
dropping
right,
in.
who do we got? Difto's playing. Let's find someone. Ooh, Chavez is. Let's go check out Chavez. He's playing some football. He got some Thursday night football with Chavez.
Right. Let's go watch some Madden.
We'll go hang out with him, guys. All right. Thank you once again for all of you guys joining. Go on over there, say hello. Let him know we just talked about Dungeons and Dragons, and next time maybe he should come join us.
Oh yeah.
Because Chavez is always talking about it. So thanks, guys. You guys have a great afternoon and the rest of your evening, and we will see you guys next week on Tuesday. Bye.
Good night.